just so you know, it's fine when we're in the water, but when we're coming out of the water in about half an hour's time, we need to be evenly balanced, because like all busters, it works best when both wheels hit at the same time. So, once we're in the water, we may need to ask a few of you from this side just to move over to the other side, if that's okay. We'll tell you, don't worry. You'd be surprised how many people don't see this massive bus driving towards them. Excited? Are we all ready to get wet? It is called splash tours after all. If you didn't think you'd get wet, I think that's on you. Here we go, guys, hold on tight. Yeah, so a few of you from the side just gonna have to move over if that's okay, if anybody doesn't mind volunteering.
I booked on this, guys. The splash tours of Liverpool. Half an hour around the town, half an hour in the water. I think he goes about 20 some odd, I think, something like that. So splash tours Liverpool. Wow, the sun is shining now. So this is where we get on now. Who's the driver? Ooh, it's a bit tight in here. I'll take some video when we get going. So half an hour around the city. It's cold, guys. It's about 3, I think, something like 3 or 4. But I've had a good time with La. We had a couple of nights out. It shocked me, Liverpool, how nice the people are. Lovely people. In the bars are packed. There's loads of bars everywhere. City centre. I haven't been since the 70s, and we're in the Royal Albert Dock here. This is where I used to come. Sometimes I used to come every day with this driving, you know. Yeah, thank you, if you don't mind. I used to come to the Royal Albert Dock. So this from the outside. It looks good fun. 20 quid it is. He's a nice chap. That's the captain. And it's right outside this Royal Albert Dock. And they do like artisan pastries and things like that. And Scottish roll. Scottish eggs. The Murphy of Scotch eggs. So there's the Albert Dock. I'll do another video going around there. The sun is bright sunshine, but it's a bit nippy. Alright? It's a bit cold. Let's hope we don't sink.
Thank you. So how long?
1 hour.
1 hour.
Hello everybody. So, hello you. So my name is Dan, I'm going to be guiding us today. This is Tony, he's going to be driving us today. So before we really go anywhere, I've just got to ask everybody, could you make sure you're keeping your elbows and things like that inside at all times? You'll see buses, they come by pretty close on both sides. So just for everybody's own safety, and everybody with little ones, just make sure you keep an eye on them as well. So, a little bit of history about Liverpool before we go anywhere. Liverpool was established all the way back in 1207 by King John. Now there's only one King John in all of English history because he did such a bad job of being king and nobody else wanted to be called John afterwards. So instead of calling him John the First, we like to call him John the Worst because that's what he truly was. Now he's famous for a couple of things. Has anybody seen the Disney Robin Hood film? Show of hands who's seen the film? So you know there's the lion who's always sucking his thumb in that film, he's the king. That's King John. So it's not great, we were established by a literal Disney villain. So we could be doing better. But to be honest, we're making do with it. John was a bit of a villain in real life as well. He was actually the first king of England to call himself the King of Ireland. So it's his fault, basically. 800 years of tension between our countries, all thanks to this one man. Now, John established Liverpool because we're a nice, easy, convenient place to turn around to while he was at war with Ireland. So, we're just now turning onto a road called the Strand. Lots of different cities have a road called the Strand. They all tend to have one thing in common. There used to be a beach. So where we are right now is the original beach of Liverpool. So everywhere that's to the left of you, all of these docks, is what we call reclaimed land. So we basically built out into the river from right here. Now, if you want a little bit of proof of that, you can go to Liverpool's first ever dock. It's actually on that side of the road, and it's completely underground. But there are tours of the dock run by the Maritime Museum, where they take you underneath the city streets to see our first ever dock. Now, this dock here on the left-hand side, that is the Canning Dock. On the corner of James Street and the Strand, directly ahead of us on the right-hand side, is a building called Albion House. It's the one that's sort of Portland stone on the bottom, and then it's stripy, orange and white stripes on the top. Now, it's called Albion House, but it was the headquarters for the White Star Shipping Line. That is the company who owns the Titanic. The Titanic, it was built in Belfast in the north of Ireland, but it was registered here in Liverpool. So that is why to this day you can still buy a t-shirt in Belfast that says the Titanic was built by the Irish, but sank by the English. They're not wrong, in fairness. So, we're now heading up James Street. At the top of James Street, coming up on the right-hand side, we have Derby Square. This big open space is where the Castle of Liverpool used to be. It's the Castle of Liverpool. It was built in the 1250s and it stood up until the 1640s. But during the English Civil War, it was completely destroyed. So by the time the war was over, there was nothing but ruins left of the castle. So we decided to dismantle what was left of the castle, and we used the stone to build our first docks. So we basically rolled the stone down the hill. Now, we are currently parked on top of what would have been the castle's moat back in the day. So we'd already be boat right now. And the evidence of that, this road that we're about to go past here on the left-hand side is Castle Street. Because that is where the drawbridge of the castle used to lower onto. So we're now driving down Lord Street, which means we're headed towards Liverpool 1. So Liverpool 1, that is our large open-air shopping centre. It is the biggest of its kind in the country. It's the second largest shopping centre in the northwest of England. With this being Liverpool, we prefer not to talk about who has the largest one. Now, we have a lot of great stores here in the Liverpool 1. My favourite shop in here, the Everton store. Now, don't worry, I'm not an Everton fan. But the Everton store is called Everton 2, which means their address is Everton 2, Liverpool 1. So they're always winning in their own address. Which I don't know about you, that might be the funniest thing any Scouse has ever come up with. There's one there, there's a blue. You know, it's the Evertonians, they cannot stand to wear red, even as Santa, so they're running as blue Santas. I'll be honest, I quite respect it.
Everton.
So here we go guys, all of this complex, that is Liverpool 1. If you want to do some shopping while you're here, that's the place to go to. So we're now driving down North St John Street. Coming up on the right hand side is the Hard Day's Night Hotel. So that is our Beatles themed hotel here in the city of Liverpool. It is here because it is right next to Matthew Street. That's this side road that's coming up on the right hand side. Now Matthew Street is home to the world famous Cavern Club. That is where the Beatles played 292 times in a 2-year period. That means sometimes they would play 3 shows a day. So if you were working while they were playing, you could go and see the Beatles on your lunch break. Now I actually spoke to somebody recently who went to see the Beatles on her lunch break. She got all of their autographs after the show, and she found it recently, and Paul McCartney has written Paul McCartney and then in brackets underneath the Beatles. So he figured you wouldn't know who Paul McCartney was one day. Victorian architecture. These all used to be Victorian banks. However, today this is our Pride Quarter. So this is where all the LGBTQ plus bars are today. Now, back in the 1960s, Liverpool was not a great city to be a member of the gay or the trans community in. It could get quite hostile. So all of the companies catering to the community, they all opened their doors in the same part of the city. So if anything ever kicked off, they could help each other out in a pinch. Now today it is the exact opposite. This whole area is called the Pride Quarter, both marking the Pride movement but also our pride as a city in the area and how far we've come. Now as we leave the Pride Quarter, we're entering into the Football Quarter. So, are there any Liverpool fans on board? Yeah. Anybody going to the match later? No? It's going to be a good one, I think. Any City fans on board? Good, because you would have been getting kicked off. Very similar hotels, if I'm honest. The only real difference, there's no cups in the Everton Hotel. My favourite joke of the tour, guys, it's all downhill from there. And you can see there's no room. So we're about to turn onto Rodney Street here in Liverpool, which marks the beginning of the Georgian Quarter. Now it's called the Georgian Quarter because all of the houses around here, they were built during the Georgian era. So they are distinctively a Georgian architecture. So staples of Georgian architecture are, there is a pillar either side of each front door, and there's a glass arch over every front door. So you'll see that quite a lot once we turn on. Sunglasses time. So just so you know, it's fine for when we're in the water, but when we're coming out of the water in about half an hour's time, we need to be evenly balanced, because like all busters, it works best when both wheels hit at the same time. So, once we're in the water, we may need to ask a few of you from this side just to move over to the other side, if that's okay. We'll tell you, don't worry. Be surprised how many people don't see this massive bus driving towards them. Here we go, guys. Are we excited? Are we all ready to get wet? Yeah. It is called Splash Tours after all. If you didn't think you'd get wet, I think that's on you. Here we go, guys. Hold on tight. Yeah, so a few of you from this side just gonna have to move over if that's okay, if anybody doesn't mind volunteering. If not, I'm gonna pick. So, we have just splashed down into the Salthouse Dock, ladies and gentlemen, which is one of Liverpool's oldest operating docks. Dates back to the 1750s. So what we're going to do on the tour today, guys, we're going to go underneath this bridge that's just over here, and that is going to take us into the Wapping Basin. From there, that connects us to the Wapping Dock. Once we're in the Wapping Dock, we're going to do a big loop, come back this way, back into the Salthouse Dock, and we're going to go underneath that bridge just over there. That will then take us into the Albert Dock. Do a big loop of the Albert Dock, come back out, and then we'll drive you back up the slipway that we just drove down. How does that sound? Good, because you've got no choice. Now bear with me for a second, I think my microphone is about to die, so I'm just going to replace the batteries. So talk amongst yourselves. I need theme music for this part. Salthouse Dock. It's called the Salthouse Dock because we used to ship salt from here, mainly. Now, salt used to be incredibly valuable. It was actually basically the oil of the 1700s. So sailors in the docks, they actually used to be paid in salt. And that is where we get the term salary from. Now, over up on this side, on the right, you can all see the Liverpool squint. That's our version of the London Eye, but it's tiny. Now, on the other side is Liverpool's arena. Now, when I was a kid, we didn't have an arena. We were one of the last major cities to get a music venue like that. So when I was a kid, I would have to go to Manchester to go and see live bands play, which being from Liverpool, it's far from ideal. So in 2008, we won European Capital of Culture. We got a large injection of money into the city. That is when we built both Liverpool One, our shopping complex, and the arena. So the arena seats about 11,000 people. So recently we've had Massive Attack play, and last night Nile Rodgers and Chic played. The last thing I went to go see here, WWE Wrestling. Last month. I don't care, it was amazing. I felt 10 years old again, it was great. Now it's worth mentioning, if you are really famous, you probably, instead of playing the arena, you're going to play at Anfield. Now the reason is, you can fit a lot more people into Anfield than you can the arena. The arena's about 11,000. Anfield, when it's finished its final stand, is going to be 60,000 plus. So instead of doing 5 nights at the Echo, you can do 1 night at Anfield. So the really famous people, they tend to play at Anfield. People like the Rolling Stones, people like the Eagles, Bon Jovi. Now last summer we had the most famous woman on earth play Anfield, Taylor Swift. Now throughout her entire tour, she only really went to capital cities. So she went to London, she went to Paris, she went to Amsterdam, she went to Dublin, and then she came to Liverpool, not Manchester.
Yeah.
I'm not taking my hat off because I've got a bad hair day today. Now, next summer at Anfield, we've got Bruce Springsteen, which is the one I'm going to, Billy Joel. Is there anybody on board from Liverpool? All visiting? Nice. Liverpool, you guys local? Nice, that's good. So, we're now entering into the Wapping Dock. It's called the Wapping Dock, not after the Cardi B song, but after the area of London that is called Wapping. So, we basically stole the name. We've done that a fair bit here in Liverpool. It's not like Liverpool to go thieving, is it? But we stole the names from London. Now, Wapping is just one of a few. There's a Kensington here. There's an Islington here. There's even a Paddington here. So we've done it a fair bit. As a rule of thumb though, the areas with unique names like Everton, Wavertree, even Toxteth, they are the oldest parts of the city. They're actually older than Liverpool is. They were small towns in this area that as Liverpool grew, they were absorbed into the city boundary. That is because Liverpool's docks are connected to the Liverpool-Leeds Canal. So there are a lot of people traverse the country via the canal system. They like to dock up here in Liverpool for a few days, shake out their sea legs, get some more supplies, and then they'll get back and they'll set off on their way from there. Now the people over here, that is their permanent residence. They live here full time, so they rarely move. But that is why most of these are empty, because these are the people who come and visit into the city. He saw the docks. He was a member of Margaret Thatcher's government. But he said the docks are so important to the history of the city, they have a right to be important to its future as well. So instead of destroying the docks, we heavily invested in them and turned them into the cultural hotspot that they are today. Now we now get 6 million visitors a year to the Albert Dock alone. They come to the Albert Dock for its shops, its restaurants, its cafes, its bars, even its museums. So anything you want to do in Liverpool, you can do a version of it here at the Albert Dock. So guys, we are now in the Royal Albert Dock. There are some fantastic places to visit here in the dock. If I were to recommend a few places to eat, there is a Miller and Carter Steakhouse over in that far corner. There's a new Indian restaurant that's just opened up called Delhi House. Now I haven't eaten there yet, but the smell wafts over while we're on these tours and makes me very hungry. So that's probably a really good place to go to. There's a bar called the 1 O'Clock, so if you just want to go and get a drink, that's a nice place to go to. If anybody particularly likes Catalonian foods, Lunya is really good for that. And my favourite restaurant in the Albert Dock, Rudy's, Neapolitan style pizza. Now the ovens are so hot and the pizza cooks in about 30 seconds. But it is the best pizza you will get in Liverpool. It's really good. Did you? It's good, isn't it? It's fantastic. I had to have a word with myself because I was going too many times. And I was getting very wide. Now, does anybody remember the floating weather map?
Yeah.
So that used to be filmed just over in that far corner over there. Glad it's not now. If you don't know why, Google Fred the Weatherman and see what he got up to in his later years. I have a photo of myself with Fred the Weatherman. I'm 3 years old in the photo. I do not remember taking the photo, and I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. So, nice photo opportunity now for everybody on this side. You should start to be able to see the three Graces of Liverpool directly up ahead on the other side of the Albert Dock warehouses. You guys on this side, don't worry, we're going to bank around and you'll get a nice view out of both sides of the boat. Now the three Graces of Liverpool, which are now on pier heads directly ahead of us, they were built to be the first three buildings that you would see if you were coming into Liverpool by a ship, which was the main way back in the day. So we were trying to show off our wealth, really. So we built the three biggest buildings in Liverpool, right next to each other, right on the front, to basically show off. Now from closest to us to furthest away, we have the Port of Liverpool building. So you'll see in a second on this side, that's the one with the big dome on top. Then in the middle is the Cunard building. And then finally at the far end, the most iconic building in Liverpool, the Liver building. Now the most iconic part of the Liver building is the birds on top. They are the Liver birds. However, it used to be iconic for a different reason. The Liver building used to be the tallest building in Britain, and it was up until 1962. Now the only thing that made it the tallest building in Britain were the birds. They pushed it just over the boundary to be the tallest building in the country. Now the birds up there are 18 feet tall, which means they are 3 times the height of me. They are the same height as that red double-decker bus that's been conveniently parked up on the dock. Now, the birds up there, they have names. One is called Bella, and one is called Bertie. So Bella is the one that's facing out to sea, and Bertie is the one that faces inland. Now, for years here in the city, what we've been saying is that Bella is facing out to sea to welcome sailors into the city with open wings. And Bertie, he's wrapping his wings around the city to keep us safe. Now what we've started to say is that Bella is keeping an eye out for better looking men and Bertie is watching the football. So guys, there are some fantastic things to do here in the Albert Dock. If I were to recommend doing some stuff, check out our museums while you're here in Liverpool. We actually have more museums than any other city outside of London, so we're very proud of that. If I were to recommend a few specific museums, the Museum of Liverpool is really good for learning about the history of our city. It's the first museum in the world entirely dedicated to the history and the culture of one specific city. Now a lot of places have now copied that, to be honest, but ours was the first. Now, is anybody a big Beatles fan on board? Show of hands. So there is the Beatles story, which is our interactive 360-degree viewer platform at the top, and it's pretty central. So that's my recommendation if you want to go and see Liverpool from a height. And if you want to see Liverpool from a real height, Liverpool John Lennon Airport. So cool because it's the first place he went the second he got in cash. So guys, we're just going to drop you off at the bus station now. If I could just ask you to remain seated for a second or two. Again, there are people who don't see the massive blue and pink bus driving towards them. Now, if I could just ask you to remain seated for just a second or two, I'll secure the steps. Once I'm down, Tony will let you know that it's safe for you guys to get off from there. Now, if you want to show your appreciation, TripAdvisor reviews really help us out. And if you really like the tour, there's going to be a tip bucket at the bottom of the stairs. And all the tips, they're split evenly between me and Tony, so make sure you tip double what you were planning to.